Hello everyone, my name is Julia. I'm a violinist. Today I'm going to talk about my favorite setup for ForScore and what I would recommend for you to do right off the bat once you get it. I think it's an incredibly useful app for any musician who has access to an iPad to have. In case this is the first time you're watching my content, I make videos all about violin, classical music, and my life as a musician, and I would love to see my face in your subscription box if you're interested in that kind of stuff. So please subscribe. Alright, so first things first, I know I've gotten a lot of questions about what kind of pedal I like to use. The only pedal that I've ever used is the Page Flip Firefly. I know the Page Flip Butterfly is also very similar to this one. This one's just like has a little bit more features, but I really use just the basic features as of right now, but we'll see what happens in the future. But yeah, this thing has never quit on me. It's never died on me. I think you can charge it, but it also just takes like normal batteries. And I swear the batteries like last forever. Like I change my batteries maybe once every 6 months. I play with this thing a lot. I leave it accidentally on all the time. In fact, it's on right now. It shouldn't be on right now. But this thing has been an amazing tool. You don't need a pedal to use ForScore. It just helps since ForScore you have to turn pages more often if you look at one page at a time. So I recommend a pedal. I'll include some links down below for you to check out some pedals for yourself. All right, so this isn't gonna be a ForScore tutorial. There's lots of really great ones online. I'll link to one of them in the info card. Let me guide you through my basic setup in ForScore. So I have multiple different libraries for different kinds of music. So I have one library for gig music, one library for solo music, one for chamber, one for orchestra, one for technique, and one for excerpts. You don't necessarily need to have libraries. I just find that it helps for me to sort of organize them in that way so that when I'm within each library, I'm like within a certain practicing mode or in a certain performance mode where I'm not going to be distracted by like my solo music or anything else like that. So I'm just going to go through each of these libraries and give you an idea of what's in them. So my gig music library, it basically has scores and parts that I use for wedding gigs, dinner gigs, any kind of gigs, freelancing. Not all of these fully organized because sometimes I get given gig music in a set list, and we're going to talk a little bit about the set list later. But this is kind of what it looks like. Now, I really like to organize music into set lists because I think it makes it a lot easier to find the music and know what you're looking for. And basically a set list is just a group of pieces that you're using for a certain project, a certain concert, a certain gig. And they, like in the pedal, like they bleed into each other. Once you get to the last page of one piece, you tap the pedal and it'll go to the first page of the next piece. So a very small thing, but it's actually really helpful for when you have a lot of pieces in order and you don't want to have to re-cue them every time you use ForScore. I'm going to show you my orchestra set list because those are the ones that I use most often. But let's move to my solo library. So this is where I have a lot of solo music. You can see I'm currently working on the Prokofiev in the background there. I'm still working on expanding my solo repertoire, so there's not that much in here. As you can see, like certain things are organized by composers. And one really cool thing that you can do in ForScore, you can sort of take a chunk of a piece and get it listed as its own piece. So like the Bach sonatas and partitas, I have the whole book and I've scanned the whole book and put it into ForScore. But I was working on the third partita and I don't want to have to like scroll all the way to the end of the book to work on the third partita because the book is huge. So I created a bookmark of only the Preludio and I put it at the end and now I have the Preludio. So I'm going to show you how to create a bookmark for something like Bach so that it's a lot easier to access it. So let's say I want to bookmark the Luray from the third partita, which would be a good thing for me to do anyways. Okay, so let's say I want to grab a copy of the Luray and create a bookmark of it so that I can easily refer to it in the future. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the little book thing on the top left corner over here, like the open book, and I'm going to click a plus sign and it's automatically going to notice this page and it's going to be like, okay, you want this page. And then you can change like how many pages you want. So I'm going to put Luray in here and then click save. And then now you can easily access that bookmark from here, but also you can access that bookmark from the composer's page. So that's a particularly helpful tool that really took me a while to figure out how to do. I'm still pretty new to it, so I haven't used it that much, but I could already tell it's going to be a godsend for the future. This is also really good for excerpts and such. And once you put all of those bookmarks in a set list and then you could sort of integrate and organize everything, it's perfect. It's like ForScore was made for musicians. So my chamber selections, I'm working on some Caroline Shaw right now. Quite a few pieces. I haven't played all of these, of course. There's nothing too notable about my chamber stuff. I'm still new to set lists for that. Here's the orchestra section. This is probably my most robust section of ForScore. I use my iPad for as many orchestra gigs and opportunities as possible. I use it for my school orchestra, and I always make sure that my stand partner is okay with it. And I think it always ends up being a really useful tool as long as it doesn't die, which it never has. So it's great. I keep a lot of orchestra music in here. I scan everything immediately when I get it and put it in here. My set lists are quite plentiful at the moment for how long I've known about set lists. And I'm going to go through with you how to create a set list. So as you can see, I like to organize my set lists by date, by ensemble, and then maybe like a little bit more detail about the concert if I'm feeling it. So you can see I play with the SC Philharmonic, I played with the Aiken Symphony, there's a few other things in here. These set lists can be especially useful for big concerts that have a ton of music and it's in a very specific order and you gotta know what you're doing. So let's look at the concert I did on May 14th with the Aiken Symphony. So this thing is huge. It was a pops concert, so it's naturally gonna have a lot of music on it. And to be messing around with music on stage, it takes forever and it's annoying. And I just think that like iPad is the way to go if you have access to something like that. In addition, like outdoor concerts, an iPad is a game changer. You don't need clips, you don't need anything. The only thing you might have to worry about is the sun being especially bright that day, but even then it's not that much of a problem.
Or the sun being especially hot. I saw this Instagram post the other day. I forgot who it was from, but a musician was using her iPad for an outdoor gig, and it actually, because of the heat, it overheated and it wouldn't let her play off of her music. So maybe that's one downfall definitely to using an iPad. So I would just consider that when you're playing for outdoor gigs that are on particularly hot days.
But yeah, this set list is huge, and my normal set lists comprise of like 3 to 5 pieces, so it's really not that crazy, but I think the set list just makes the whole process much easier. So now let's go through the process of creating a set list. So you're going to see the set list in the 3 bars at the top left. You're gonna click on that. For you, it would probably look blank if you've never created one before, and you're gonna hit the plus sign. Let's name this ForScore vid. Okay, we have a new set list. Now, the way that I would do this is I would scan your music into the system first and put in all of the information for the different pieces. So anytime I put a piece in here, I type out all the information that I have. So for the title, I put the title of the piece and then also which violin part, because sometimes that's important when finding pieces in here to make sure I'm looking at the right part. The composer, the genre. So this is just to give me an idea, like, is this a modern contemporary piece or is this something from the classical period? For tags, I use these for different kind of ensembles. Like, does this include choir? Is this an excerpt? Is this a string orchestra or a full orchestra? And then for labels, I put it what kind of instrument part it is, just for further clarification. So back to the set list. So once you've loaded in all of your music to ForScore, which just involves importing it to ForScore, then you click the plus sign and you can see that all of the music that you have in there just comes up. It defaults to showing you the music that you uploaded most recently, so you don't have to go looking for it. So for me, Montgomery Coincident Dances, the Esmail, the Shostakovich Symphony, I put those in here the most recently. Let's pick, we're gonna create a really wacky program. Let's pick Rock Piano Concerto No. 2, An American in Paris, La Mer. Wacky program. So you just pick those pieces and then you just click done, and then there you go. And if you want to edit the order of the pieces, you just click edit and then you can move them around as needed. And if you want to remove them, edit, share, replace, other things, you just select it from the drop down. And then once you go into the piece and you go to the very end of the piece, and you have to be tapped into the set list to do this. If you just pull up the piece, it's not going to automatically do it. Once you're at the end of the piece, all you have to do is either tap the foot pedal or just tap the screen and it'll go straight to the next one. And it makes things so much easier in concert. I think set lists are the biggest thing that people don't take advantage of when they use ForScore. Another really cool thing about a set list is if you're organizing a gig and you know that all of your musicians or some of your musicians are using iPads, you can export an entire set list, like with all the files included. uploaded straight to their ForScore because it's a specific file, and then they don't even have to organize it. It's all in a set list for them. Makes everything so much easier. If you're a contractor, I highly recommend just creating a set list for that music because your musicians will thank you and it makes everything easier. So yeah, I also have a technique section in ForScore, which, you know, I just put Shattuck and Rode and Paganini, all sorts of things for when I'm trying to just drill some technique. And then I have an excerpts section where I work on excerpts from different symphonies, but I might be doing away with this now that I have the bookmark option that I've discovered pretty recently. So this might be completely removed. One last thing I really want to recommend when using ForScore is trying to get your hands on an Apple Pencil if you can. I think that, again, it just makes writing in it a lot easier. And if you have the new generation of Apple Pencil, what you can do is if you want to switch between eraser and pen, you just double tap this part right here, and then as you can see on my screen, it immediately switched from eraser to pen. And the cool thing about ForScore, then, you don't even need an Apple Pencil for this, is that they also have like little markings like mezzo forte that you can put into your music wherever you want. So you could just stamp mezzo fortes everywhere if you really wanted to. And they also have, like, you could change the size of the stamps, and they have a whole library. There's even more stamps that you can pay more to use, but I don't even need those. So yeah, I highly recommend that as well. And then, like, also I really like using the stamp option for crescendos because you can make the crescendos look really neat and make it look like they were already in there in the first place. If you're the kind of person that can't write straight, then I recommend that. And that's about it. Those are the tips that I have for you for implementing into your ForScore setup. I hope that you gained some helpful information from this video. If you have any suggestions to implement into ForScore for me or for anyone else, please feel free to leave a comment. I know that iPads and tablets are becoming more and more popular these days for musicians, and that, you know, we're all trying to navigate technology in our own ways, and this is a really helpful resource that I highly, highly appreciate. That being said, paper and pencil has lots of benefits to it as well, and absolutely no shame to people who prefer to use that or who only have access to those kinds of materials, because, you know, not everyone has access to an iPad. But I just wanted to share this information because I thought it would be useful for those of you that do have the capacity to explore technology like this to make your lives easier. Once again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and leave a like if you enjoy content like this. And let me know if you want any more ForScore tips, or if you want like a full tutorial of ForScore, because I know it can be hard to get started with, and I'd be happy to make something like that. But anyways, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.